Welcome back to the H2H experiment, where we stop treating business like a mechanical system and start treating it like what it truly is, a living, breathing human ecosystem. Today, I want to talk about something deceptively simple, but deeply transformational for any organization. Something that most leaders overlook, ignore, or underestimate. Conversations. Real ones, not status update or share your screen or next slide, please. I'm talking about conversations that sharpen alignment, bring out the truth, expose friction, heal blind spots, and connect people who are supposed to be building the same experience, but often operate in their own universe. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. CX isn't built in dashboards. CX is built in dialogue. Dashboards report what happened. Conversations decide what happens next. And if the right conversations are not happening inside your organization, your customer experience is already broken, even if your metrics look pretty. So today, we're going to walk through the 7 conversations every CX leader must have every single month. Not quarterly, not when things get bad, every month. Because these conversations are the difference between an organization that talks about customer experience and an organization that actually delivers one. Let's dive in. So let's start with leadership conversation and how to ground the company in reality. This is the monthly moment where you stop the political dance. You pause the corporate theater and bring the truth to the table. Leaders don't need 100 metrics. They need 3 truths from the front line. And the most important question you can ask is, what customer truth do we need to face today? This is the conversation that corrects course. It exposes misalignment, it forces courage. Because leadership often sees the company from altitude, while CX sees it from the ground. And you need both. CX brings the lived experience. Leadership brings direction. Together, they bring clarity. This conversation is the compass for the organization. Now, let's move to the conversation of operations. If CX is the emotional layer of the business, operations is the skeletal system. It defines how things move, how fast they move, and how often they jam. The problem? Most friction is invisible to leadership, but painfully obvious to operations. So once a month, you ask operations, where did our process make the customer's life harder than it should be? Every organization has micro frictions, forms that confuse, rules that trap, approvals that delay, systems that break, information that never arrives. We've all been there. Friction is trust erosion, little by little, slow, silent, and deadly. This conversation shines a flashlight on the dark corners of the experience. Now, moving to the next one, which is the conversation with marketing, which has the objective of aligning promise and delivery. We all know that marketing writes the story, and CX lives the consequences. Let me repeat that. Marketing writes the story, while CX lives with what marketing promised, the consequences of that promise. If those two realities don't match, customers feel betrayed. A promise is not just copywriting, it's a contract. So you ask marketing, is our promise creating disappointment or delight? If marketing promises frictionless onboarding, but it takes 12 emails and 4 approvals, that's not a message problem. That's a trust problem. When marketing and CX align monthly, your brand becomes believable. Now, sales. We definitely need to fix the handoff that most companies really ignore. Sales hears the truth early. The fears, the hopes, the objections, the unstated expectations. But too often, sales hands off a customer in a rush without transferring the emotional context that CX desperately needs to succeed. So once a month, sit with sales and ask, what expectation are we setting that the rest of the organization must carry? The handoff from sales are the silent killers of customer trust. A smooth handoff creates confidence. A sloppy one creates churn. This conversation aligns the story customers are told with the reality they walk into. Now moving to the next one, customer support. Customer support is the emotional front line of the organization. They witness the highest peaks of frustration and the deepest valleys of relief. Customer support sees the gaps in the experience more clearly than anyone else inside the company. So ask them, what apology this month changed a customer relationship? This conversation goes beyond metrics. It explores the emotional truth because customer support knows where things break, how customers react, what calms them down, what rebuilds trust, what makes them leave. This is pure gold, but only if you go and talk to them. Now, how would be the conversation with HR? With the objective of aligning EX and CX. You will never exceed externally what you tolerate internally. If employees are burned out, undervalued, confused, or misaligned, your customers will feel it instantly. CX and HR must be in constant relationship. So go and ask HR, what employee behaviors improved or damaged CX this month? Culture is the backstage of customer experience. It's the invisible engine. If you don't talk to HR, you're not doing CX. You're doing graphic design. Sorry to say that. And finally, the conversation with product development. Products fail not because they lack features, but because they lack alignment with how humans actually use them. Product teams are brilliant, but without customer insight, they're just guessing. They're just trying to guess what the customers want. So you have to ask your product team, what are customers trying to do that we make harder than it should be? This conversation prevents months of wasted development, user experience friction, feature fatigue, and customer frustration. It brings product back into human reality. So, why these conversations change everything? When these 7 conversations happen every single month, the organization starts to feel different. Silos soften, teams collaborate, messaging aligns, process flows, repair becomes faster, handoffs become smoother, decisions speed up, and trust rises. CX is no longer a department, as it should never be. It becomes a shared consciousness, and leadership starts making decisions based not on assumptions, but on truth. So for you to practice this, we have the H2H experiment for this episode, which is the conversation calendar, how I like to call this. For the next 30 days, I challenge you to try this. Schedule all 7 conversations. Keep them short, simple, and honest. Use the exact questions from the episode. You can also take a look at the article that we published on LinkedIn about it. Document insights in one shared space. Review at the end of the month what changed. I can guarantee you will see alignment shift faster than any technology dashboard or initiative could ever create. Because CX is not about data. It's about dialogue. It's about human conversations shaping a human experience. And now to wrap up. Customer experience is the sum of your internal conversations. It's the story your teams agree to tell and deliver together. The experience your customers live is a reflection of the conversations your teams have when the customer is not in the room. So start talking, start aligning, start listening, start repairing, start designing trust through dialogue. Because at the end of the day, your customer experience is only as human as the conversations that built it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the H2H experiment. I hope it has been useful to you. Stay human, stay curious, stay kind, and keep building experiences that matter. Bye.